Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 14th edition of the Feel at Home Fair, this year live from the Beeld and Geluid Museum in The Hague. The goal of the fair this year is to connect internationals. Our opening show on Channel 1 will be a welcome to The Hague, which will be provided by the gemeente Den Haag. And in this, there will be a foreword by the wethouder Sascha Braunes, and there will also be a Q&A by the mayor, Jan Santen. Now I'd like to invite the director of the Beeld and Geluid Museum, Tom de Smet, to open officially the fair. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Billy. Hello, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Billy, for introducing me. And I'm Tom de Smet, Director of Sound and Vision in The Hague. I want to wish you all very welcome at the Feel at Home Fair by The Hague Online. I'll tell you a little bit more on what Sound and Vision is. Well, you're not actually in the building, but it's a virtual event. And we are part of the National Media Institute Sound and Vision, which is based in Hilversum. But in The Hague, we particularly focus on the role of journalism and news and the way it influences the way we look at the world. We look at the role of technology, think of filter bubbles, artificial intelligence, social media. These are all super relevant themes which we think belong in The Hague. The Hague is the international city of justice, peace, but it's also the heart of the Dutch democracy. And so we're super proud to be in The Hague, and it all sounds very grand what we do, but what are we actually? What can you actually do? We are, first of all, a museum, which will hopefully reopen very soon, and you're all very, very welcome to come along. And after the summer, we will hopefully be programming both in Dutch and English on the topics I've just mentioned. So we hope to welcome you all very soon in The Hague on the Zeestraat. And for now, I hope you will all feel at home very soon in The Hague, and hope to see you soon on the Zeestraat. Thanks. Have a fun day.
Everyone, thank you, Billy. Thank you, Tom, for your introduction to the fair. We're happy we be able to organize the fair this year as well, even though it's virtual. I would like to welcome everyone to the first webinar, which is called Welcome to The Hague. And my name is Gerco Vizé, and I work as a policy advisor for the Hague International Center, which is part of the city of The Hague. Just a little bit about my background, so you know who's speaking to you. I studied political science and Middle Eastern politics. And from studying, I started to work with a lot of different migrant groups. And right now, as a policy officer with expats in the city. And what we'll do today is we'll share something about our knowledge about living and working in The Hague. And what we'll also do is we've asked a lot of the partners we work with to share their knowledge as well, to be able to give you a head start on living in The Hague. We'll talk a lot about essential things during this webinar. Things like housing, education, language, culture, communication. The rest of the Feel at Home Fair will be a lot about the more social and cultural side of living in The Hague. We felt it's important to organize the fair this year to keep internationals connected. We hear a lot about that it's difficult for newcomers to find a social network, and we think the Feel at Home Fair is always a great way to introduce people to the big international ecosystem in the city. A brief outline of what we're going to do during this webinar. First, Deputy Mayor of International Affairs, Saskia Braunes, is going to give a warm welcome to all the viewers and to the Feel at Home Fair. I will go deeper into what the Hague International Center actually does in the city and how it can help newcomers to settle in. Deborah Valentine of Access will join me in the studio to explain about how Access can help newcomers and internationals in the city. Marta from Eurohome Relocation will explain to you how to find a house in The Hague. Eline from Young Expat Services will guide you to the process of choosing a school, perhaps even the childcare for your children if they relocate to The Hague as well. And we'll end with a Q&A with the new mayor of the city, Jan van Zanen, who's going to give you a brief introduction of why he became a mayor, but also what motivates him and what he hopes to achieve for the internationals in the city. But first, before we go to the deputy mayor, we'll show you a little video of why The Hague is actually attractive for internationals. It will give you a brief insight of all the things that we like about the city in terms of career, but also for the quality of life.
Hi, my name is Daisy. I'm a business advisor at The Hague Business Agency. I want to show you The Hague and why I think it's a great place for business and personal life. I was born in the Netherlands, but I have Taiwanese, Surinamese and Chinese parts in me. I've always felt at home as a multicultural person in The Hague because diversity is normal here. The Hague is a unique city. It is small and compact with a village feeling, but yet it has all the facilities and infrastructure of a mega city. Where else could you find a city where a prime minister is biking to work, or the royal family is passing by to shake hands with city residents? Life here is built around key values: peace, justice, and security, which helps create one of the highest qualities of life in the world. The Hague is the home to the Dutch government and over 100 embassies and consulates. In this city, collaboration between the municipality of The Hague, businesses, Dutch universities, and entrepreneurial communities is strong and productive. This collaboration produces a unique and diverse ecosystem to help new and existing businesses to grow. To give you a sense of the scale of our ecosystem, we have 5 active business hubs linked to a large network of public partners, business service providers, entrepreneurs, NGOs, and international organizations closely interconnected with each other. With so many important global organizations in our city, safety is incredibly important, and The Hague performs well on almost every safety metric. Everything is close by, and commuting is easy. With Rotterdam and Amsterdam only a short train ride away, traveling internationally is just as simple, with Schiphol Airport just around the corner. As a parent myself, I understand that a quality education is very important for families with children. And because of the highly diverse population in The Hague, our city has a great variety of international schools and organizations. You can easily find a suitable elementary or secondary school for your children close by your home. And last but not least, the Netherlands has one of the best healthcare systems in the world, and our government provides multiple programs to help cover healthcare costs. 谢谢. We're looking forward to seeing you soon in The Hague.
Welcome back. Thank you. Daisy is one of the business advisors from The Hague Business Agency. Our director, Laurens Kok, will be joining us during the next webinar about working career and sharing their insights on the career in the Hague region as well. I would like to introduce Saskia Bruines, who's deputy mayor, but also what we call in Dutch alderman, which is not always a familiar term for English-speaking people. And she is responsible for economic affairs, international affairs, and also municipal services in the city. Specifically, she is responsible also for the city districts where quite a lot of expats live, namely the city center, but also what we call Haagse Hout, which is the neighborhoods of Bezuidenhout and Benoordenhout, where there's a lot of internationals in the city, but also international schools. I would like to give the floor to Saskia to say a word of welcome.
Thank you very much, Garco. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It's my great honor to welcome everyone at the Feel at Home International Community Fair, the 14th edition already. And I'm proud our city is home to tens of thousands of people who are working every day for a better and safer world. People from all over the world to come to The Hague to solve global issues together. And the city cherishes its vibrant international community. And I very much hope that you feel at home in The Hague. This may be difficult during the lockdown. You may be far away from friends and family. You may worry about your job. Settling in may feel difficult for newcomers to our city who struggle to build up a social network. I think the Feel at Home Fair can help to keep internationals connected in a virtual way this time. The online fair is a meeting space where you can find everything you need to help you settle in as an international and as a person in The Hague. From social, sport, cultural clubs, international schools, service providers to international employers. You can always turn to The Hague International Center if you need help and guidance. Their webinars today should guide you in your relocation and settling in process in The Hague. The work and career webinar will introduce you to the career opportunities for internationals. In The Hague, you may choose to work for a creative startup, an UN organization, or a multinational corporation, or an innovative NGO. The City of The Hague has been proud sponsor of the Feel at Home Fair for many years already. The fair is a celebration of the diversity and strength of the local international community. And I want to thank Billy Allwood and his team for all their work to bring together the international community for so many years in our city hall, and in their flexibility to organize a virtual fair this year instead. Thank you very much, and I hope you really enjoy the fair. Have a very good day. Thanks.
Thank you, Saskia Brenes, for your warm and kind welcome words to everyone watching the fair. I would like to thank you as a deputy mayor, because we felt in City Hall as well that he always cherishes the vibrant international community, and for the years of support you have given to our work at the International Center, but also for the people that come and live in the city. Thank you very much. As the deputy mayor said, you can always turn to the Hague International Center for help and guidance. So next up, I will explain something more about what the International Center does for internationals in the city and how we work. But first, we'll show you a video about how the Hague International Center has helped a recent newcomer. And you can actually see, because we cannot meet in City Hall where the Feel at Home Fair has been organized for many years, you can actually see where the Hague International Center is, and how it looks like if you come to us for help.
So my name's Kirsten Mildren. I work for the United Nations. I'm Australian, and I moved with a small team here. We moved to The Hague because we wanted to be closer to where humanitarian operations are around. We also wanted to move to a place where we could have a good quality of life. If I had moved here without the International Centre, I don't think I would have been able to do it, I'll be honest, because I think that when you move to a new city, it's a whole new system and it's a bit daunting. So to be able to come and meet with the team here and ask questions about schools and housing and where you would live in the area, all the sort of things that you need to know, it really, really helps. Particularly for schooling, for me that was the biggest challenge. I have 3 children, 3 boys, different ages. I needed to get them into different schools. I was definitely contacting them to get that information. Bike riding is definitely the way to get around the city, so I've loved exploring it all through just riding around on the bikes. My favourite part has to be the dunes. I love it. Walking along the beach, it's great. I'm surprised every day about the locals that go surfing, no matter what the weather is like. I love that it's really, really focused on the outdoor lifestyle. It was a great decision.
Welcome back. I forgot that actually I'm also in this video, so you've seen me multiple times on screen now. Just as I'll use a PowerPoint to tell you a little bit more about our services. There we go. Because what the International Center is, we call ourselves the point of contact for internationals, especially international staff members in the Hague region. We don't just only work for The Hague, we cover a wider area such as Delft, Rijswijk, Leidschendam-Voorburg. So if you live close to The Hague or you have some interactions with The Hague, please get in touch for help. What we do is we basically offer a soft landing for internationals by taking care of some things. Especially we take care of some formalities. Think about your municipal registration to get a BSN number, which you're going to need to get in touch with any government agency you might need in the future. Also, we work closely together with the Immigration and Naturalization Service, abbreviated usually by Dutch people to the IND, where you can collect residence documents, but also ask questions about immigration in the center. We provide a lot of English information about your relocation process, about housing, education, immigration, but also about finding your way in The Hague, what to do with your children, for example. And we do this via our website, but also via a welcome guide, social media, and we publish, for example, a monthly newsletter to internationals. Thirdly, we provide recommendations for service providers. We work with over 80 service providers to basically offer assistance, but also to be able to give you the best guidance in the city. And some of these service providers have joined us here today to share their knowledge. Last, we organize events, specifically Welcome to The Hague, which is the similar title to this webinar today. But the Welcome to The Hague events are really for international newcomers. Right now they're all online, but the aim of the event is also to give people a sense of welcoming, but also to let them get in touch with other newcomers who just moved to The Hague. Our second event series is called Connect, which are informative webinars nowadays about key questions we're getting at the International Center. So think about language and communication, taxes and finance, and we'll get back at the end of the webinar to introduce you to our next upcoming events. As I mentioned, we work with over 80 service providers in the city. If you go to our website, there's a button which is called Partners, and it lists you all the partners we work with. And you have small cards where you can already see who are these partners, but also categories about, think about childcare, language schools, healthcare providers. It basically offers you a direct link to what we know as trusted and reliable service providers in the city, who can offer their assistance and enables you to be introduced directly rather than to Google and not being able to understand, which one is advertising, which one actually offers good quality. So there's a little bit of a help that we are able to provide you. We all check them, so that's why we can say they're reliable. And also these partners usually help us with organizing events, like the Feel at Home Fair, but also during our Connect seminars. Some key tips before we turn to other speakers who can share their knowledge. What you need to know if you move to The Hague during the coronavirus is we publish a lot of information already on our website. We give you updates on new measures, but also on the vaccination strategy, travel restrictions, like right now, double negative testing results you have to provide to the government to be able to enter the Netherlands, which is what we call a coronavirus information center. Key in all the coronavirus information is the English website of the government, which is called government.nl, where there's a lot of information about the new measures. Usually there's press updates within a few minutes when the last press conference of the Prime Minister and the Minister of Health has finished. It also provides you checklists for travel restrictions, which may come handy if you're still abroad and you're coming to The Hague pretty soon. Because the coronavirus crisis is a public health crisis, it's important to also make sure that you know and understand the health system in the Netherlands. What is important for everyone is that you take out Dutch health insurance. This is for, say, 80% of the people coming new to the Netherlands. They have to take out Dutch health insurance. Privileged people, so people working for embassies, international organizations, but also some international students, they don't have to take out Dutch health insurance. But make sure that you're covered because you may run into COVID somewhere. If you're infected, you may have to go to your doctor or to the hospital. It's better to be insured on arrival already. Important is the role of the family doctor, also called general practitioner in some countries. who is your gatekeeper to the Dutch healthcare system. They're your first point of contact to understand the system, but also if you need to go to the hospital, always call your family doctor first. Family doctors are organized around the neighborhood. So quite often you can Google or go to Google Maps about finding a family doctor close by. Or in The Hague, you can also sign up for the International Healthcare Center, which is based in the Benoordenhout area, which covers a wider regional area and is specialized in helping internationals. Since the start of the year in January, we started with the vaccination program. We get a lot of questions about vaccinations nowadays, quite understandable because it's different also in every country. The Dutch vaccination program runs according to profession. So people working in healthcare have been vaccinated first. Next up is medical risk groups who have been identified by the family doctor. And right now we're sending invitations based on age. I think it's about people between 70 and 75 are now getting invites from either the family doctor or the municipal health department. We'll send you an invite where you should go at what time, at your own doctor or at bigger locations. What is important is that your municipal registration is correct, that the government actually can contact you at the right address. Otherwise, your invitation may get lost somewhere. Next up, what we always say is at the International Center, we cannot do this ourselves, just as a government office. We work closely together with especially two partners. One is the Immigration and Naturalization Services. So we can provide national, but also local services together. But also we work closely together with a non-for-profit Access. And for us, working with Access is also a way that we can work directly with the international community. Internationals, often spouses of employees relocated here, but also Dutch people with an international experience, volunteer in our international center on a daily basis, and they make sure that we also keep connected on what's happening in the international community. Deborah Valentine, the executive director, will join me soon at this table to have a talk about the services of Access. But first we go to a video to hear more about Access work. And Antonio in the video is actually a volunteer at our international center as well.
When I arrived here, I didn't want to remain in the expat community. I really wanted to meet local people. And so my hobby is to play board games and war games with little miniatures. And so I went here to a store, and from there I met people. This is how I succeed to build my Dutch social network here. In the Netherlands here, volunteering is a big topic. Great way to network, to meet people. It's a way to find your place and to do something. So I'm volunteering for Access. So Access, it's an organization helping the internationals. And so we're there to give them support, information and help. I really enjoy living in Hague. It's a great city with a lot of activities. It's a great place to live.
Welcome back. I'm joined in the studio now by Deborah Valentine, Executive Director of Access. Apparently in April already for 10 years now. And Deborah is a Canadian, born in Germany, relocated 11 times already, as a child, as a spouse, as a mother of, and for her own career at the UN. So she's what you can call the career international. And she speaks 5 languages already. Thank you for joining me, Deborah.
Thank you for having us.
You're a close partner of the International Center as well. On a daily basis, we work together. I think we have a group of more than 20 volunteers who are working in the International Center as well. Can you explain a little bit about what is Access and how do you help international newcomers coming to The Hague?
Yeah, certainly. Well, as also was shown in the video, our group of volunteers are themselves partners of people who've come here to work, so they're internationals. And they volunteer their time by providing answers to questions, knowledge that people are looking for when they're trying to find their way in their new home. So we give them the right guidance, point them in the right direction.
Thank you very much. And important to know maybe is you are in the Hague International Center, but there's also other ways you can contact Access.
Yes, we are at the Hague International Center, but we also work with the expat centers in Amsterdam, Utrecht, and Leiden. But we have a help desk team that people can send an email to. If there's somebody at the office, they can phone us. Unfortunately, we have redressed our office hours, but our help desk at access-nl.org is an email address that people can use when they have any questions, virtually about anything, in terms of making this feel more comfortable.
Yeah, thank you. It's also something to point out, for example, if you do have a question, because of COVID measures, you cannot just enter City Hall and visit the International Center. You'll have to send us questions by email or phone in. But also you can reach out to Access directly, and they may be able to schedule consultation hours as well.
Yes, that's something new. We're hoping to start in early April, is half-hour consultations where volunteers will sit down with you online, sadly, but at least online to have the conversations that people often need when they have so many questions.
Yeah, thank you very much. And at the International Center, but also at Access, we have now had 1 year of experience helping international newcomers settle in during the coronavirus crisis. What can you recommend newcomers if they're looking to settle in during this period?
Yeah. The online world has made it additionally difficult, especially for people who've been here recently. And recently, we calculate about 18 months. It takes about a year to settle in a new place. So anybody who's arrived in the last 18 months will have many, many questions. And although online is not the preferred medium for many, even for yourself, we would much rather have a fair in person, but having the online environment at least gives us an opportunity to share the knowledge that people are looking for, and to find at least one person that they can connect with. So our recommendations to people are, when you go to an online event, do make yourself seen or heard. Ask a question, tell people where you're from, how long you've been here, where you work. One other person will at least respond. And one connection helps you to build other connections for when we open things up. And one thing that I say is also very important in terms of finding connections. Connections can also be with strangers. Smile to your neighbor. Learn how to smile under the mask. Smile with our eyes. We reach out to people, we let people know that we're open to connecting with them, and that can be a very small step in the right direction.
Thank you for helping. And I think this is, you mentioned people should connect online, but also try to make the effort to then, for example, move towards connecting offline. And I think this is also the main reason we continue to have the Feel at Home Fair, even virtually. Because it's a great way to connect to all the sports, social and community clubs which are in The Hague.
Absolutely, yeah. There are many, and what's not to be forgotten is that many of these groups and organizations also exist or were started by people who were in the exact same position that newcomers were in. And so some of them have a tradition and they know what it feels like to have to reach out, answer questions, show a smiling face, show a helping hand. So the people who understand that it's not easy.
Thank you. It's not the end of Deborah on the Feel at Home Fair.
No, it's
You'll
not.
be back to quite some, I think, can you explain a little bit about the rest of the involvement in
Today,
the Feel at Home Fair? Yeah.
Okay. Yes, I will be back with Volunteer The Hague to talk about the opportunities of volunteering. And later this afternoon, together with my colleague from Dutch News, we'll be looking at the results of a recent survey that we did about the impact of the COVID period on the broader international community. So I will be back.
It's great you're here, and it's an important thing of how we can offer help as well as the government. To involve Access as a international run volunteer organization.
Yes.
They also provide us feedback, and it's also great that we can offer them a stage sometimes to introduce them to companies, but also to newcomers. So thank you very much, Deborah.
Thank you very much, Gerco.
An essential part of relocation and settling in will also be your search for a perfect home. And your home is actually not just the place you live anymore. It's also the place you might have to end up working for quite a bit. So that's why we've asked Marta from Eurohome Relocation Services to join us as well. Marta Galano is a global mobility manager and housing specialist from Eurohome. Your Home is a relocation agency in the Hague region, part of the bigger Voerman group, which is also a moving agency. Marta is Argentinian. She left Buenos Aires 2 years ago to start a new life in the Netherlands. You may ask, why did she leave her job in communications in Argentina, where the sun is always there, and move to rainy Netherlands? Because she actually fell in love for a Dutch man. So it's what we call a love pet. And she wanted to help other expats, internationals, to start a new life abroad. And that's why she started working for Your Home Relocation Agency. Thank you for joining us, Marta.
Thank you, Herjo, for the great introduction. This is my working space also when I'm working from home. So welcome all, and thank you for having us.
Yeah. Marta, what, from your experience as a housing specialist, what can you recommend to international newcomers about finding a home in The Hague?
Great. Okay, so if you're thinking of coming here or you are about to come, congratulations. This is a great city to live. I would suggest, first of all, to consider that in here, when it comes to housing, you can find the typical Dutch housing and also new developments, new buildings. But for you to be registered at your municipality, as you, Herco, said before, you need to be registered at the municipality, and for that you need to make sure that the place you are going to live, the accommodation, is going to provide the registration letter. So that's why in those cases, and we normally recommend short stays and service apartments. So when you are here upon arrival, you go to that place and you can go to the municipality and get your BSN, your social security number. That is the first thing. Second thing, I will say, if you are going to do the search yourself, I would suggest to make sure that you read the contract or to ask someone locally to check your lease agreement for you. Or if you're going to work with a trusted relocation company, could be Eurohome, could be another company, but make sure that when you are working with a real estate agent, they are going sometimes to charge you an agent fee that could range from 50 euros to a couple of hundreds. And sometimes if you are finding your home, they are not going to give you that money back. So make sure to reach out to Herco and his team and do this with a trusted partner, with a trusted company.
Thank you very much for sharing your insights, Marta. Do you recommend renting a house, or should people also look into buying a house?
That is a really good question. As Deborah said, sometimes it takes up to 1 year to settle. So we normally recommend first come here, know your neighborhoods, know the place you do want to live, and from there start looking for buying a house. And of course, to do that, I would suggest also to do it with a trusted agent, with a mortgage advisor. We can also give advice on that. Herco, you from your side, you can also help our international community. But first, we always recommend to get settled, to get used to the city, to the different neighborhoods. If you are going to bring your kids to school, it's also good to find a place close to the school, because in here, what is used is to find a place close to school and with a short commute.
Thank you very much for your insight, Marta. Can you also indicate where people should look? Do you have some advice on popular neighborhoods?
Well, I'm not the best one because I love The Hague, so I will say to you city center, the beach, but we have plenty of neighborhoods. We can start explaining about The Hague city center. In there, for young professionals, young families, business travelers, is ideal. It's always busy, so there's never a dull moment, but I will say that the prices are quite high, but you are close to everything. So if you want to be close to the action, that is the place, of course. Then we can also mention Scheveningen, that is really famous among expats and the international community. It could be also for young professionals to be at or around the beach, but it's during summer especially it's noisy and it's crowded. So if you are close to the Promenade, the shopping district, it will be always with people. But if you go a little bit inside, like the inner neighborhood streets, you can find a quiet, calm, relaxed, and very safe area. The houses are huge and it's also good for families. So I would suggest close to the beach for young internationals. And if you are a big family, I would suggest the inner streets. So then we can also mention Besoudenhout. Besoudenhout is close to the city center. It's very modern. You are not going to have that Dutch traditional feeling, but it's really famous. It's really attractive for internationals, families. It's safe. It's super clean. And I would say that almost no one speaks Dutch. It's very international oriented, but really, really attractive. The price is high normally, and we need to fight sometimes to get an apartment, to get a house, but it's really attractive for the international community. Then we also have the Regentesen quartier. It's a little bit cheaper than Besoudenhout and a little bit cheaper also than city center, but in there you can find the typical traditional Dutch house, full of parks, playgrounds. You can find in there a lot of sports centers, and it's quite a charming Dutch place to live. Then we have Statenkwartier. The architecture is mind-blowing. In there, you will find big houses, comfortable, it's pricey. But in there, you have the Europol, a lot of embassies, a lot of international companies. So it will be oriented for big families and also international professionals that will work in those international institutions. Then we have also Benoordenhout. Benoordenhout is where I'm in right now, 5 minutes away from the beach. Big houses, really nice building, new buildings, and I would say that is the area with more parks and super close to the beach, as I told you. So I could also mention Archipel. Archipelburg is a small neighborhood with beautiful houses, even villas you can find in there. It's pricey. Sometimes it's difficult also to find a parking space, but not impossible. But really also very good, I would say, for the ones that are looking for a traditional style. This is very 19th century style. I can also mention a Schilburg. Yeah, plenty of places, but I don't want to run out of time. The Hague is beautiful. So first check it out for yourself. We can help you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Marta, for joining us. And if people are really looking for help to find a house in The Hague, they can turn to Eurohome. They're close to the ADO, so the football stadium. So they are based in The Hague, and they're great experts here, working for a lot of companies here in The Hague as well. If we bring up the PowerPoint for 1 second. Because what we can mention to you as well is we have a lot of resources if you're looking for a house. From popular neighborhoods to the process of renting a house, buying a house, introductions to mortgage advisors who can help you understand the process of buying a house, for example, but also information on key housing rights you may need to understand, tenancy rights if you're looking to rent a house, but also how the process works if you're buying a house and what your rights and duties are. It's very important that you understand firstly what your rights are before accepting any house or signing a contract. Quite often the duty of information is on the side of the landlord. We have quite strong tenancy rights for the people renting houses. What people relocating always ask us is what is actually the price in The Hague. Showing you a little map with prices of what we indicate houses actually cost if you want to rent them in The Hague. It's of course, it differs in terms of how much is the upkeep, what is the specific neighborhood, but it's an indication of how much what the house prices are in The Hague. In neighborhoods around it or the next cities like Leiden, Delft, Rotterdam, prices are actually quite comparable. Cities like Amsterdam, Utrecht, Haarlem are a lot more expensive. It is important to go over whether you fall under or above a housing permit in The Hague, which is a new thing, which limits your amount of options if you have a higher salary to go for cheaper housing. Beyond your place to live and work nowadays, it's also very important if you move to a family that you can offer your children good quality education. It's one of the key factors which attracts a lot of international families to The Hague. So that's why we've asked Elina Housel to join our program as well. Eline is a teacher and entrepreneur with over 20 years of experience working with children with special needs, dyslexia, and also children learning Dutch as a second language. She's an expat herself, a mom of 4, and is one of our key partners for us to help internationals with families understand how the Dutch system works, especially if they're looking to go to a Dutch regular school, because the process is sometimes a lot more difficult than just finding an international school. So thank you for joining us, Eline. Eline will share some of her expertise about education in the Netherlands today, with a small PowerPoint presentation as well to go over some key questions you have to ask yourself. So basically the floor is yours, Eline. If you can answer a little bit of information about what internationals need to think about when choosing a school in The Hague.
Thank you, Gerco. We're happy to be part of this fair. First of all, I cannot see if the slides are on, but are the slides on, Gerco? Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
All right. I would love to talk to you about how could you make the right decision by choosing an international school or a Dutch school. And this presentation, I hope this presentation is going to help you to make the right choice. First of all, we always start, we can go to the next slide, we always start with the age of your child. If you have young children, and I mean between the age of 4 and 6, it's really easy to move to the Dutch education, because our education in group 1 and 2 is focused on learning through playing. So it's very easy for the children to learn the Dutch language just by playing. If your child's older, and I mean from the age of 7 and up, in the Hague area, your child needs to go to a language immersion class first before it can move to a Dutch local school. If your child is 7, 8 or 9 years old and it goes to an immersion class, it will not lose a year. So after this class, it will move to the local Dutch school into the same class of their peers. Costs are also an important thing to consider. Dutch schools are actually for free. You only pay a parental contribution between 60 and 200 euros per year. And then you pay some cost for in-between school care. We have 2 different international schools. We have funded international schools and local international schools. And I mean private international schools. The local international schools, you can find them on a website called Dutch International Schools. These schools costs are between 4,000 and 8,000 euros per year. If you go to a private international school, the costs will be between 12,000 and 24,000 per year. So this is a huge difference, these costs. Length of stay is also a thing to consider. If you're planning to live in the Netherlands for only 2 to 3 years, we as a company, Young Expat Services, we recommend to go to an international school. So this will give your child continuity, and it will make it easier when you move to a next country to recognize the curriculum and speak the same language. If you're planning to stay here for a longer time, and I mean 4 to 5, 8, 10 years, it's a great step to move into the Dutch education, and it's really a way for your children to learn Dutch, for you to learn Dutch and to integrate into the Dutch culture. The Dutch education offers different philosophies, like Montessori, Vrije School. We also have different religions in school. This is different than the international schools. The international schools some schools offer IB, International Baccalaureate. They offer British curriculum, American curriculum, and a European curriculum. The vacations are also different from the international school and the Dutch school. The Dutch school has 6 weeks of summer holiday, and the international school has a much longer summer holiday. Dutch schools have a very strict school attendance law. This means that you cannot take out your child at any time that you want from school, because otherwise you will get a fine. So Dutch schools have a shorter summer holiday compared to international schools, but we have some separate weeks throughout the year. The international school has a huge summer holiday and some weeks during the year. And they are a bit more flexible on the school attendance law. Social network and logistics, as the housing lady was just saying, Dutch parents go to a school close to their house. So children tend to bike and walk to school. If you go to an international school, most of the time you will have to take your child with public transport or cars to the school. So if you really want to integrate and get to know all your neighbors, then it's very nice to go to a school close to your house. You will meet a lot of foreign families in Dutch schools because a lot of internationals choose for the Dutch education. I believe 50% of the population of expats in The Hague choose for a Dutch school. So you will meet international families in Dutch schools. And of course, in an international school, it will be full of international families. And last but not least, I want to talk about the secondary education. If your child is 12 years and older, it will need to go to a secondary language school. But if it goes there, it will lose 1 or 2 years. And you need a huge vocabulary to be successful in our Dutch education. An international school might be easier if your child is 12 years and older, because it will recognize the curriculum, and it might be easier if you move abroad, and it will not lose a year if they are 12 years or older. If you need help finding the right school in The Hague, me and my team would love to help you to find the right school. And just remember, you have done a great job bringing your children to the Hague area or to the Netherlands, because Dutch children seem to be the happiest kids in the world. So your children will be this as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Eline, for joining us. It's not the last cooperation. If you actually want to know more about education and childcare in The Hague, you can join our upcoming Connect webinar, which is on the 23rd of March. Go to our website and you can sign up there for the Zoom webinars. We're also joined by Zijn International Childcare, the biggest international childcare provider in the region, who share their knowledge about picking international, bilingual or regular Dutch childcare facilities. And you can also join one of the upcoming education webinars during the Feel at Home Fair. There's webinars about international schools, where the Rijnlands school is, which is the head organization of the international school and the European schools, but also schools in Wassenaar, Oegstgeest and Sassenheim. Will be joined by also the Waldorf and an education consultant. The Hague University of Applied Sciences and Leiden University will also offer some guidance on picking your higher education for your children. To add to Eline's story, we have quite some information on our website about education and childcare. So if we go to the presentation, and you can see that we also share information on which schools are actually in the region. And as you can see, there's quite a lot of them. What we say is more than 50% of all the children going to international schools in the Netherlands actually go to a school in our region. So the variety of schools is the biggest in the country. You'll find European curriculums, American, British, but even in the subsidized school, which offer an IB program, you will find different ways of approaching the international school. We have 12 different schools, more than 20 different locations as well. So look up our website if you're looking for a school. What we offer as well, if we've uploaded a new map, which indicates city highlights, landmarks like stations where City Hall is, but also some of the touristic areas you may already be familiar with. Think like the Peace Palace, or Madurodam, for example. And we also list information about where the schools are actually located. So you can also determine how much you have to travel from your school to your employer, to one of the, to the beach resorts, for example. It enables you to really understand the city and to find the best way to locate yourself. If you're thinking about sending your kids to a regular Dutch school, the admission programs work a little bit different. How it works in The Hague is that you go to the website called Scholenwijzer Den Haag, a nice Dutch name, which lists all the regular Dutch schools in the city. It enables you to look as well as which schools offer a newcomer class for primary school, but also a transition class for secondary school, for example. But also it's important that you have to sign up to this website for schools. If you find it difficult, reach out, for example, to Eline, who can offer you assistance to understanding the difference between international schools and regular Dutch schools. But they also have a lot of information about which Dutch schools actually already have a lot of expat families in the school, which may make it easier to transition to the Dutch system because they have been through the process already. If we close off the PowerPoint again, important as well is to understand, we've talked a lot about the more harder sides of and formalities of relocation to The Hague. It is also important to make an effort to settle in The Hague because it's your new city, the Netherlands may be your new country, and it may not be easy. You might be well experienced in relocation, but we see more and more people who move to The Hague as a first relocation, and it's not always easy. The Dutch, as a may also be direct. In some countries, we are considered rude and not the easiest to become friends with. We understand sometimes the difficulty on the personal side, to really feel at home in the city, and that's why we always advise you to put a lot of effort in understanding the culture you're coming to. For work, because it may be different to work with Dutch colleagues than in your previous country, but also for your social life. And we have a lot of partners like the Royal Tropics Institute, but also Radboud into Languages, which is attached to the University in Nijmegen. At Home Abroad or Ute will be on another webinar about education later today during the Feel at Home. They offer you help to understand the Dutch. It is important that you do try to understand some of the cultural things you're going to run into. And during our other Welcome to The Hague event for newcomers, we always offer introductory courses to intercultural communication and a little bit help to understand the Dutch. Furthermore, you are, of course, coming to the Netherlands. As we always say, I think the Dutch are the best non-native speakers of English in the world, which means that you don't need the Dutch to survive. In the supermarket, you can just speak English with the person if you want to find a specific item. The same goes for shops, for restaurants. Also in public transport, a lot of the communication is already in English. But learning some words may show interest to get to know the other culture. It might help you in your neighborhood to get to know your neighbors. But we always recommend, if you think about staying longer, do put some effort into learning Dutch. Because if you're on a more advanced level, it can greatly enhance your integration to society, but also open up new social networks. Because you will find out that we do have international clubs and networks, but there's a lot more available if you learn some Dutch. But also it opens you up to career opportunities. If you do not work in some of the international organizations or multinationals, there's a lot more career opportunities if you learn Dutch, especially if you're looking for a general staff position. But more on that later during the next webinar. And some of our partnered organizations helping for intercultural communication, but also for language, are actually present during the fair. So join, for example, Kickstart or Direct Dutch at their virtual booth to see how they can help you understand what you need to do to learn Dutch. Beyond career opportunities, The Hague is actually known for its high quality of life, especially for families. And The Hague offers a lot of possibilities of a big city with a small town charm, as we like to call it in the city center, the city government. The city is made up of a variety of neighborhoods. Marta already explained to you about some, but there's a lot more variety. Neighborhoods close to the historic city center, which is centered around the parliament, we call the Binnenhof. But also neighborhoods close to the beach, very close to the dunes, or The Hague Central Park, which is the Haagse Bos or Hague Forest, which is next to the central station. Important in attracting new people is always that we are the only big Dutch city close to the beach, which we have 11 kilometers of coastline and 2 beach resorts. And it's just 10 minutes bike ride from the historic city center to one of the beach resorts. What's more, The Hague is known as one of the greenest cities of Europe. Plenty of parks, the dunes, and a lot of places to enjoy. We'll go now to a video from The Hague and Partners, specifically their agency which helps to attract tourists to the city, because they have a lot of information and insights into hotels, but also in what to do even during Corona times.
Bow tie ride? Perfect. There is a little rhyme here in The Hague. Doesn't rhyme in English, but it goes a little bit like this. In The Hague there lives an earl, and his son is called Jantje. And if you ask him, where lives your dad, he's pointing his little finger to the castle in the opposite. Well, fairy tales are gone, because the castle now is Parliament. During the 16th century, the golden age of the Netherlands, all those revivaling cities like Amsterdam, Rotterdam, Delft were looking for one place where they could have Parliament. And that was The Hague. Why The Hague? Because we were a village. And at the moment, with 530,000 inhabitants, we're still a village, and therefore the largest village for Europe. And in these beautiful surroundings in the middle of The Hague, I want to show you other things, because the real beauty is in the art. We have the largest concentration of museums of the Netherlands, and I want to show you beautiful parts of this art, so follow me. We're at Museum Panorama Mesdag, called after Mr. Mesdag. And he had a huge, big love for the visitors village Scheveningen. But Scheveningen, his beloved village, it changed. And he wanted to paint Scheveningen once more as it was. And he did so in a panorama, 360 degrees around, of the history and how it was in 1880. This you could sell, not your husband. So slowly this small vicious village grew out to be a spa, a resort, and that started already.
Thank you, Remco, for explaining some of the things you can do in The Hague. He's working for The Hague Marketing Bureau, which they have a central website, denhaag.com. Where you can find everything what is on offer in the city. There's a lot of corona-proof activities, virtual tours, VR tours of the city, but also a lot of local initiatives you can support. So think about a restaurant tour to the city center and other neighborhoods. The Hague has a new mayor since the summer of this year, and we thought the Feel at Home Fair might also be a great way to introduce the mayor to the international community, but also to think about, what motivates him, what are his plans for the international community. So that's why he took the opportunity to do a Q&A before with the mayor.
Hello, my name is Jan van Zanen. I'm your mayor since the 1st of July of last year. Previously, I was mayor of Utrecht, right in the heart of the Netherlands, and before that of Amstelveen in the Amsterdam area. And I consider it a great honor to be the mayor of The Hague, because The Hague is where the beating heart of the Netherlands democracy lies. Plus, The Hague is the international city of peace and justice. And that international dimension appeals to me greatly. As mayor of The Hague, I intend to do all I can to strengthen the international profile of our city. Well, as I mentioned, I like the international character of The Hague. A city of peace and justice, The Hague is clearly quite different from other cities in the Netherlands. I also think The Hague is a beautiful and very green city, not to mention its unique seaside location. Wow! No description can do justice to the real beauty of The Hague. But the thing I like most about The Hague is its people. As you probably know, as mayor, I'm primarily responsible for public order and the security of the city. Those are my prime concerns, but also my tasks. Alongside that, I want to make sure that our residents can have faith in the city and its government. And finally, I hope to be able to bring people together and to build bridges between the different parts of the city. Everyone in The Hague must have the same opportunities. Well, although COVID-19 hasn't made it easy, I have already visited a number of them, and I'm impressed by the wide variety of organizations. They are all based in our city, to mention from the international courts to the European organizations working on peace and justice, peace and security, such as Europol, Eurojust, as well as NATO and the OPCW. Not to mention the hundreds of NGOs working on the same issues. Their presence is not only important to The Hague in terms of jobs, 40,000 by the way, but they also form the cornerstone of our profile as City of Peace and Justice. And they do important work helping to create a better world for everyone. Indeed, these are difficult times for everyone, and I can well imagine that the international miss their family and friends abroad. But I can't do anything to change the current situation. We all have to get through this together. And now that the vaccination program has begun, we can see light at the end of the tunnel. Myself, I spent a year in the United States studying at Cornell Law School in New York. And apart from the academic knowledge I gained there, I found living in a completely different environment and in a different culture with different people to be very enriching. And I still love to think about that. It was a tremendous time. I would say try to discover and see as much of The Hague as you can, as far as that's possible, of course, given the coronavirus measures. Explore the city on foot, rent a bike, feel the atmosphere of the city, enjoy its wonderful parks and areas of natural beauty, the sea. And don't forget, even though most Dutch people speak English, it also helps a great deal when you learn a few Dutch words. That's very funny. I hope you soon feel at home. Connecting internationals to The Hague, that's what we want to do. Be welcome.
Welcome back. This is the end of the webinar. We hope you learned a lot from the show. If you have questions, ask them at the virtual booth of the International Center or drop us an email during any of the working days of the week. Please stay in touch. You can connect with us on Twitter, Facebook or LinkedIn, but also you can sign up for a monthly newsletter with updates about everything you need to know in The Hague, or visit one of our new upcoming webinars, such as Connect Education and Childcare, about housing, about families and children, or also about legal matters. We hope you have enjoyed the webinar. We hope you enjoy the rest of the Feel at Home Fair. And please join me at the next webinar where we talk about work and career opportunities in the Hague region. Thank you very much.